Picture this. It's April 14th, 1912. The unsinkable Titanic is steaming through the North Atlantic at nearly full speed. But what if this magnificent ship had been equipped with the same sonar technology that modern vessels use today? Would those 1,500 souls still have perished in the icy waters? The answer might surprise you, and by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why this single piece of technology could have changed history forever. Let's start with what we know about that fateful night. At 11:39 p.m., lookout Frederick Fleet spotted something dark ahead, an iceberg. But here's the chilling part. He only had about 30 seconds to react. The iceberg was already just 400 meters away when first spotted. But why couldn't they see it sooner? The answer lies in a perfect storm of conditions that you probably never knew about. The night was eerily calm, so calm that survivor Colonel Archibald Gracie described the sea as like glass, so smooth that the stars were clearly reflected. This mirror-like surface, while beautiful, was actually deadly. You see, rough waves breaking against an iceberg would have made it visible from much farther away. But on this still night, the iceberg was invisible against the black ocean until it was practically on top of them. Making matters worse, the lookouts didn't have binoculars. The key to the binoculars locker had been transferred with a reassigned officer who never made it back to the ship. But here's what's fascinating. Even if they had binoculars, they likely wouldn't have helped. The real advantage of binoculars is identifying objects after you've spotted them with the naked eye. So the Titanic was essentially sailing blind into an ice field. But what if they'd had eyes beneath the waves? Here's where it gets interesting. Modern ships don't just rely on human eyes. They use something far more powerful: sonar. Sonar stands for sound navigation and ranging, and it's like giving a ship superhuman underwater vision. The principle is brilliantly simple. A sonar system sends out sound waves. Think of them as invisible underwater shouts. These sound waves travel through the water at about 1,500 meters per second. When they hit something solid like an iceberg or the ocean floor, they bounce back as an echo. The sonar computer measures exactly how long it takes for that echo to return. Since we know the speed of sound in water, we can calculate the precise distance to whatever object reflected that sound back. It's like echolocation that whales and dolphins use, except far more sophisticated. There are two types of sonar, active and passive. Active sonar is what would have saved the Titanic. It actively sends out sound pulses and listens for echoes. It can detect both moving and stationary objects with incredible accuracy. Passive sonar, on the other hand, just listens for sounds made by other objects, like submarine engines or whale calls. Now here's something that might shock you. The Titanic actually did have a form of sonar technology. It consisted of microphones installed below the waterline that were designed to pick up sounds from underwater bells on coastal buoys. The system worked reasonably well near shores where these bell buoys were positioned. The engineers even theorized that these microphones might be able to detect the sound of waves lapping against an iceberg. But remember that glass, smooth sea we talked about? There were no waves that night, which meant no lapping sounds to detect. And since icebergs don't come equipped with their own bells, this passive system was completely useless when it was needed most. But what if the Titanic had been equipped with active sonar, the kind that actually sends out sound waves? This is where the story takes a dramatic turn. Active sonar wasn't invented until 1918, 6 years too late for the Titanic. Canadian inventor Reginald Fessenden, who was deeply disturbed by the Titanic disaster, dedicated himself to perfecting this technology specifically to prevent such tragedies from happening again. Picture this scenario. At 11:09 p.m., a full 30 minutes before the actual collision, the Titanic's sonar operator detects a large object directly ahead. The sonar screen shows a massive ice formation approximately 2 miles away. With modern sonar's ability to determine not just distance, but also the size and shape of objects, the crew would have immediately recognized this as a substantial iceberg. At the Titanic's speed of 22.5 knots, they would have had plenty of time to alter course or even stop completely. But here's the really fascinating part. Remember Charles Dahl, the third-class survivor who counted 19 icebergs from his lifeboat after the sinking? A modern navigation system would have shown the crew that they weren't just approaching one iceberg, they were entering what sailors call Iceberg Alley. With this information, Captain Smith would likely have ordered the ship to stop for the night or take a completely different route. But here's the final question that might surprise you. Even with perfect sonar detection, would the Titanic's fate have been different? This comes down to something technology can't fix: human decision-making. Captain Smith was under enormous pressure to maintain schedule on this maiden voyage. The ship was already behind schedule due to a coal strike, and there was immense commercial pressure to arrive in New York on time. Even with sonar warnings, would he have slowed down or altered course? History suggests he might have. Modern maritime protocols make this decision easier. Today's safety of life at sea regulations require ships to reduce speed or alter course when ice is detected. The technology to prevent the Titanic disaster existed in principle before the ship even sailed. It just needed someone to recognize its importance and invest in developing it faster. The Titanic was called unsinkable, but no ship truly is. What makes modern vessels safer isn't just better technology. It's the hard-learned wisdom of never again underestimating the power of the sea. What do you think? Would Captain Smith have heeded sonar warnings, or would commercial pressure have kept the Titanic on its deadly course?